like Instagram just stopped promoting content in the same way. I need to get off this hamster wheel, but focusing that time and energy onto a platform that also really loves long form content like YouTube, like in podcast, long form relative to like the 60-second reel.
Welcome back to the podcast. I don't have a title for this one. Why? Because Bree just pitched something and we're just going to do it. We hit record. Bree, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about something that I get pretty fiery up about. I want to share, as somebody who's been posting on social media for over a decade, whether I've liked it or not, that's just, the way that the world is for building a business, why we have, and lately have been fully focusing on both a podcast and YouTube and moving away from platforms like Instagram. And so, yes, we're going to be talking about ourselves, but as teachers listening to this is going to be full of really helpful normalizing perspectives, because we've been at this for a long time. And if you're a teacher who's like posting on Instagram and you hate it and you feel like your soul shrivels up and dies every time, or you're like, I put so much effort into these videos and they don't get seen. And what's the point? Why am I doing this? You're going to get a lot out of this conversation as to why we decided to shift things, because it'll probably normalize that experience for you.
Yeah, it's like the business of yoga. And sometimes it's like the part that people don't talk enough about, because we're all just trying to do our best here. And I am a big believer in being on the platforms that you're like energized by, inspired to create for, and also then pair that match the goals that you actually have as a business. So, whether you're teaching in a studio and you're a solopreneur, or you're running a business and running a studio like, Heart and Bones, for example, and you have grown the Heart and Bones Instagram to over 300,000 plus followers. So when we started this morning, we were talking about like, where do we feel like there's an opportunity? Where as a content creator, where as a business, are we feeling like we're getting bang for buck, value, visibility, and actual traction? So I'm going to hand it back to you, because I feel like for us right now, it's podcasts and YouTube.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely. And over these like decade plus of being on Instagram, which I think we've talked about this before in a previous social media episode and stuff, but it's like, it's not like I was like set out being like, oh my God, I love social media. Like at all. I just realized, oh, this is a vehicle to reach people. And I have stuff I want to share, and so on and so forth. And so went on it. And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what the Instagram algorithm has always liked. There was a while in Instagram where it was really cool. It was like, okay, there's like this wonderful organic growth. My channel or page or whatever we call it, account is growing. And it seemed like, oh, now I'm starting to get more views. I'm starting to get more followers. And it just had this really normal feeling trajectory. And then Reels came out. And then that was great because my content naturally worked for Reels, and Instagram was like, yeah, we want to be promoting those. So that really also helped really catapult my account even further. And then there was a point where that natural trajectory of like if I'm thinking of a growth, if you're obviously in the podcast, you can't see what my hand is doing, but like my finger is being a graph pointing upwards in the trajectory of growth. And then all of a sudden, like Instagram just stopped promoting content in the same way. Like it's not proportional anymore. And so I'm like, I need to get off this hamster wheel. Also too, and I think, I'll point out sometimes my views, I wonder, people talk about shadow banning, and Instagram says they don't shadow ban, but so shadow ban is definitely if you post controversial stuff, whatever Instagram deems as controversial, your account does get more suppressed. And I have seen that multiple times because I'm not afraid of posting things that might be a little bit more, quote, controversial, but are really just talking about human rights.
I was going to say human rights are controversial.
Right, in the world we're in. But when I do that, I absolutely, it is, and I'm not just saying this, is absolutely, I see a clear drop for a long time in views. So I don't know, maybe other people are like with 300,000 followers don't have the same issue as me. They're like, what is she talking about? So I don't know how much of it's sometimes my quote, quote, controversial content that's playing into this, but nonetheless, regardless, I don't want to be on a platform that used to support the creators, the people that are on that platform. And now it's not. I'm not going off of it, by the way. So Heart and Bones Instagram is still going to be there. But focusing that time and energy onto a platform that also really loves long form content, like YouTube, like in podcast, long form relative to like the 60-second reel or the 3-second reel, that like tends to pop off on Instagram. So it allows us to really expand. And now as I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing this is reminiscent of the time when I was a teacher, back when I was teaching yoga, maybe halfway through my 2 decades or something. And I was really getting burnt out. And I was like, okay, this weekly class rat race feels like a rat race, right? Like how many classes do I have to run around the city for and teach and repeat the same things over and over? And I'm just getting burnt out of this. And so I asked myself, I said, what do I actually love teaching? And how do I actually love teaching? What could I do for hours? And I realized, oh, I love workshops. I love going beyond that weekly class model where I can nerd out and we can talk and expand on things. So it's kind of just funny. Here we are having the same sort of like mirror iteration of like, so I changed my teaching at that time to teach more workshops and trainings. And that has been a beautiful thing ever since. And so it's just funny, like the social media aspect of it, it feels maybe the parallel. Instagram is feeling like the weekly classes and getting to YouTube. And I used to think like YouTube was like, oh, and weirdos like are on there, and they are. Don't look at the comments of my freaking foot video that's out there. It's horrific. Yeah, no, I'm fucking like misogynist. Anyway, yeah. But don't let that scare you, friends, because like I have one creepy video that people are creeps about, but the hundreds of other videos that I have on YouTube, it's actually quite supportive and wonderful.
I think you could still grow on Instagram. I think you can grow on any platform that you love. And also, I think you need to be clear on why you're there and the amount of energy you want to put into it. So like for myself, I'm a photographer. And when we were talking about this earlier, I really had like a bee in my bonnet about Instagram and videos. And it's only recently that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to like have fun with this. And I'm posting things about the artist's way, but I'm pushing people to my Substack. And I understand that it's like, to me, my Instagram account is like, the goal is people come to my Substack, and that's where I get to share my photography. Like and I also am not overly personal on my Instagram. I don't like, I don't use it as a space to stay like, yeah, yes, will I mention things about life? Sure. But is it my personal Instagram? No. And I think like removing that aspect of it's not a personal thing also made it a little bit easier for me, because I can turn off my brain. I'm like, this is like a goal. Like if I post this, the goal is that then people go here. So having like kind of that goal oriented thing. I will say with like Instagram now, I don't know if this is like a conspiracy theory vibe or what, but I do know they actually have launched in the past, and there was a lot of backlash for them launching AI creators. So it's like really a slap in the face of all the people that have been giving them free content so they could then sell ads, really is what we're doing, right? So if they're putting AI content creators out, it's going to make it even harder for us as like natural organic human being creators to be seen and perform and all those things. So for me, longevity wise, that's where I start to get a little bit concerned about platforms that prioritize AI content creation. And what I've consistently seen, I feel like we're writing a love letter to YouTube here, but what I've consistently seen with YouTube is they tend to prioritize the people making the content, and they're not perfect. Let's be real. There's ways people kind of like put garbage out there and AI slop as well, but they consistently put out updates of like, if you're looking to monetize your YouTube, they make it easier. You know, like they're doing things to kind of keep us like creators happy and willing to create content so that they can sell ads. And you can actually, if you get to a point where you're monetizing your YouTube, you can actually make money. Whereas like for Instagram, that's so difficult. And as Canadians, we really can't monetize much when it comes to social media. So
Well, and funny enough, just this morning, I opened up an email from YouTube telling me that I have made $140.10 this month. So,
that is a pair of yoga
you know,
pants. Let's be real.
yeah, it's just, or no, mama's gonna
Yeah.
eat tonight. Like, we
Yeah.
can. But it's so true. But and like even though that's sort of like nominal in a way, but like what has Instagram ever done for me? Instagram has done so much for me, actually. I think so much of my business would not be here without Instagram. But having been in this, Ula, it's so true. It's like maybe we need to all be on things to, with the caveat is like also you don't need to be on all the things. So I'm talking about maybe us with Heart and Bones. It's like maybe it still makes sense to be on all the platforms, but where are we really going to spend most of our time? So that's why I think on YouTube or on Instagram, I've enjoyed pulling out old videos that I've already done. Like, why am I like, unless I get the inspiration to do something very specific, I'll do it. But it's like most of the people aren't even seeing this video. So why aren't I going to just like post something that already had been proven that I posted before?
I will say all the platforms also are getting like way more complicated. So it's like if you're a new yoga teacher or you're like trying to grow your business and you've been doing this for forever, I think trying to be amazing across all the platforms is really difficult right now. So I really feel empathetic to anyone who's like, how am I supposed to create long form content for YouTube while I have a podcast, while I also have to create short form content, which is like has to be completely different because it has to be like more catchy on TikTok. And then, oh, by the way, I also should be on Instagram. And so I think like where I would jump in is just saying you don't have to be everywhere. I think start somewhere and just like pick your battles and put more effort and create really great content for the platforms that you are excited about and willing to put in the effort. And for us, I think right now it makes sense for YouTube. And that's why we actually launched a new channel because we have Heart and Bones online, like YouTube. But we now also have Yoga Teacher Tips, YTT, on YouTube because we realized we were generating a lot of really great teacher focused content, like this podcast, like a lot of stuff, and people were going to our YouTube for that content. So we're not gonna fight it. We're gonna go with it, and we're gonna grow a separate channel. And that in itself, I think, is A, great for teachers, and B, supports our business goals. So it's a win-win situation.
And YouTube also wants to support community, is what I'm saying. So I think what shied me away from YouTube for a long time is it just felt very anonymous, where in terms of community engagement and back in the day, you know, I felt like, oh, like Instagram, I'm in the comments, I'm like, I felt like there was a real community of people and people would comment and it would just felt really great. And YouTube never quite had that. I would have comments in my YouTube class videos, but they'd feel more anonymous, if that makes sense, where the experience with my I hate saying the word followers, you know, like my community, let's call it, people who are following Heart and Bones, was very real. Like I feel like I've met tons of friends through that I've never met in person through Instagram. But what I'm loving about YouTube right now and seeing the change is that they're actually trying to make it more community focused. So if you're listening to this, let's actually do this as because we always want transparency and honesty about all of this. So I think, so let's like try this all together. You know, we just launched this Yoga Teacher Tips channel. We're experimenting. I think as of right now, we have like 110
I was
followers.
so excited. I was like,
I know when we breached the 100
Yeah.
point, you know, but then it's like, please comment on it. It's like Ula and I are there. We don't have some like other like, yes, here, we don't touch anything and you don't actually get to talk to us and we're exclusive and separate from you. Like that's bullshit. And I never want that to happen. because it is about connection and community. And let's experiment. Can we create that together? If you're listening to this and want to, we cordially invite you like to come over to that yoga teacher tip, figure it out with us, and just like add your comments, make suggestions for videos, what you'd like to see. The podcast will be moved. The video version of this podcast has been hosted on our Heart and Bones YouTube channel. We'll be bringing the video version of this podcast on the yoga teacher tips. Though before I forget this, something you had been mentioning, Ula, that made me think about this was one of the things that in the teacher training, once we were having this conversation around when it was our business call for the yoga teacher training, and one of this in talking about this very topic about like what channels should you do, should you even do social media as a yoga teacher, do you have to do it, and so on and so forth. And one person did mention that like, yes, she has a small account, but she actually uses it sort of like a little mini website. And I was like, yes, right, thank you. It doesn't matter how many people who are following you, some of the benefit, it's not, if you're, especially if you're not trying to reach a global audience, just know that, okay, that's a way for somebody to sort of pre-vet, am I going to enjoy their classes? So it's like, you just don't worry about the views, and you don't worry about this stupid algorithm. You just kind of post when you want to post, so that if somebody is looking for yoga in your area, or they've heard of you and they're like, oh, let me go see what their Instagram is about, they'll go, oh yeah, great, this person's doing these really cool things. Yeah, I'm going to go to their class. So that's another, I think, helpful way to look at social media, which always goes back to that sense of, well, why are we doing anything?
Yeah, I think like the clarity on the why and where you are is so helpful, because I mean, like I can think of real world examples that of sometimes the follower or the view count doesn't actually equal exactly the outcome, the business goal. Like I have a tiny account on my YouTube, and I have had people take the time to email me about like a video I posted and how they found it and how it was helpful and all these things. And I'm thinking, I have under 300 subscribers on YouTube, right? And so I could look at it two ways. I'm a failure because I only have X amount of subscribers, or I'm really successful because what I have put out there is getting people to take an action. And that action is they're taking time to email me. So I think being like a little bit kinder to yourself does go a long way. Like, you know, you hear these stories of people just like exploding overnight. And I think it's like survivor bias, where we only hear these people that did it overnight, but there's so many people out there who are in the exact same situation, who are pecking away at it, and then something will pop off. Because I do feel that's kind of what happened to your channel too, even with Instagram, right? Like there was like you still had quite a few followers, like I think it was like 50,000 or something, and then you like jumped. Like I can't remember how that happened, but it did happen.
Yeah, it did. Well, and that was right around the time that Instagram was prioritizing Reels. So, and again, that's kind of where in my brain, when I think back to it, is like there was like a natural trajectory where every so often the video would go off, or it just the channel was or the account was growing in a normal sort of way. Yeah, up to that around 50,000, which is still pretty big. Wow, like holy guacamole. But then I had a couple videos just go viral because again, Instagram is like, we like reels. Yeah, look. It's like dangling the carrot. And then they're like, yeah, look, here's a couple of like really viral videos. Yeah, keep doing it. And then they took that carrot away. Actually, they took the carrot and stomped on it, chewed it up, spat it out. And we're like, screw you, pay us money for ads. Because they're bought out, it's Meta. Instagram, you know, is still Facebook, and it's still owned by tech bros. So it's not like, you know, we trace the powers that be, and it's like, oh, well, then that makes sense. This is why Instagram is crap, because it's owned by Meta.
I'm reading Careless People, and let me tell you, I'll report back, but so far, yikes.
And it's not like Google, because Google owns YouTube, so it's not like, it's all monopolies.
You mentioned going viral, and I have had this happen as well for other brand accounts that I was running. So, you know, being someone who makes content, I've worked in-house with companies as a content creator, and it's like, sometimes it's like you can control it. Like you can do your best, you can do the things, and sometimes that does lead to, there's people like there's like a whole industry of people telling you how to do social media, right? Like I'm not even going to pretend that doesn't exist. And I even watch some of them. I try to go with the ones that are more sane and balanced. And sometimes something will pop off without your control. It just happens. And here's what I'll say about going viral. Going viral does not actually always equal the goal you wanted. So it does not mean if you go viral. So I was in house with a product, like physical product brand. We had multiple reels go viral. Did that equal sell through and higher income for the company? No. It just meant there was a ton of like comments of people like you were saying, the comments aren't the same. And what I realized, the viral video went out to a broader broader demographic. A lot of them were the target audience we were hoping for, but they also weren't, because they weren't the type of person to invest in it, or because it was a higher cost item. It wasn't like something for $20. It was like closer to 200. And so you got these like weird comments, and it turned into this like comment section of people acting like there wasn't a team and real human beings behind it. It's like, I don't know what they thought we were. Did they think we were machines? I don't know. It was weird. And I was like, what was the point of that? Like, what was the point of going viral if it didn't actually increase sales? So I will say, like, this is my warning. Whatever you put out there, just make sure it's actually what you want people to see. Because if it pops off, you're going to attract a lot of people. And let's say, imagine we're a yoga school and the video that goes viral is like running. I'm going to be really PG about it. Like, it's like running. It's a running video. Like, what was the point of that? You attracted a bunch of runners.
Oh yeah, Ula, you so much with that. I've seen that so many times with my account. It's so true, and it's like kind of even around that 50,000 mark, even before the reels were prioritizing reels or reels existed. I was starting to see that because I think, and even now, so if somebody goes to my account, they're like, oh, she has 300 and whatever thousand followers. She must be blah blah, like, and and I think that probably does play into the less of the engagement, because there is this conscious or unconscious story of this assumption, well, you must be untouchable now, right? Because this is the world that we live in. It's like famous people, they're just like us, or like the perception of fame, because I don't think we're famous or anything like that, but like, and so there is that sort of, again, perception though, that it's like, oh well, they have so many followers, I can't leave a comment because Bree's not going to listen to me anymore, like she would have when she had 20,000 followers or 5,000 followers. Like, it is a weird divide that I think is quite unconscious but real. And it's so true. And I remember the first few videos ever going viral, I was like, oh, like, who are these people? Like, it isn't the same always. And it's not to say that it's not the same, because in some ways, from a business point of view, like, this is where it's hard to track. Like, okay, like that example that you said, Ula, of that company, it's like, it's a numbers game in a way. Like, okay, more people saw it. It didn't do a significant, obvious bump in sales, but maybe it's that sort of ambiguous, like, got the name out there. So maybe that's a slight benefit, but overall, yeah, like, if you want to be, or it works if you want to be sort of that viral company or that viral business, but like, here at Heart and Bones, we're people. We're people. If we had 1 million followers, if we had two, literally, this has not changed. Who I am has never changed. Hopefully it's as obvious that way, like, I'm still the goofy person doing dances on the internet to make people laugh and question their beliefs and assumptions about the mainstream yoga culture, or just doing whatever on there. That, again, yeah, even if we had 1 million followers, it's not like the separation occurs. And I think that's where, okay, we live in a global world. For some businesses and for many reasons, being on these platforms is a necessity. For us, it's a necessity. This is our full-time job, Heart and Bones. So it's like, this is what we do. Because that's something I was going to point out before when you're talking, Ula, about other people and being kind to themselves, because it's a good point. Because for many people listening, teaching yoga is probably a part-time job, or it's not, like, it's your neighborhood job, it's your local job. And for us, since launching the online platform in 2018, over the last 7 years, like, this is a job. Like, how often are we not at these computers? Hey, Ula, we have a small team of people with us helping to build Heart and Bone. So we have the time and the capacity and the necessity to spend all this time and effort in and on these platforms. So I'm just kind of naming all this stuff so that we're not unwittingly creating an expectation that you have to do the same thing. if that's not what, because we're doing something slightly different in that way as a business, but nonetheless we're still real goddamn people who actually literally
We're
want
real.
motherfucking connection. We do.
um I was thinking, I was like, oh, I totally forgot. I did grow my own yoga channel just for local classes, and I've shut it down since then, just because I'm not, since a pandemic and everything. Obviously, I wasn't teaching in person. I actually moved cities and all these kind of things. And I will say that, like, again, it's like going back to what I said earlier. You don't have to be everywhere. You just have to pick the channel that you're like super excited about, and you have to be clear on like what defines success for you. Because I think if you are obsessed with like, I need a certain follower count, it's going to be really a weird relationship that you're going to build with this platform. And if your definition of success is, I just want to be a content creator who makes yoga videos, this is not the YouTube video for you, because we're not like that, right? Like, our definition of success is like, is this supporting the online yoga studio? Is this supporting our online teacher training? All these things. And so where I wanted to go with this was, I had a small account, but people showed up to my classes. I had full classes. That was successful for me. I still managed to grow to like, I think just under 3,000 people, and my classes were full. That was super successful for me.
So yeah, so somebody could have gone onto your Instagram and be like, no, Ula doesn't have whatever, like 50,000 followers, blah, blah. But actually the quantifiable and the quality success was people coming to your classes. That's a good point. And then I will also add, what keeps me running and going with these whiplash feels like sometimes of the algorithms and on all of them, and like including YouTube, all the things, right? You're like, you have to work so hard in so many ways to get traction. But then, and I always feel like these are like little angels or something that like are these beautiful reminders of, because I'll be like, social media. And then I'll get a message or a comment on some video. Somebody's like, oh my God, this made
the email, the comment. Oh, you forwarded that one that about our YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, that was like the nicest thing.
I know. Yeah. And I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I know we both, I got it in my inbox, and it was just like somebody who just takes the time, and thank you to anybody. Sometimes that happens with the newsletters that I send out every month or every week. By the way, if you're not on our newsletter list, get on the newsletter list, go into the details. There will be a link for that. Just people replying and saying something like, wow, that actually was what you wrote. Because like when I do my weekly newsletters, I try to make it relatively thoughtful, and reflective and functional and helpful for people. So it's not just like a movement thing, but sometimes like a heart thing or something, And so it's really nice when people reply. And so that's the win for us too. Yes, join the Heart and Bones teacher training. Yes, join Heart and Bones online. But this video actually helped your back feel better. Bloody brilliant.
I was thinking, kind of going back to what we started with earlier about, different platforms. I will say we as a team have talked more about like longevity, and when we post a YouTube video, we know it has a longer play time, in the sense of like, someone can search neck pain and yoga, and 10 years from now, our video is going to pop up. It's coming soon.
And it literally does. And what's even fun, actually, because I don't pay attention to the analytics very often, but sometimes I'm in YouTube or something, and I go and I look at the analytics, and I'll be like, oh, like, this video from 5 years ago that actually started off not that popular, or like didn't really get much traction, because what the heck is popularity? It's so relative. But for our channel, like it didn't really have a lot of traction. And then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, like this is now working better than it did 5
I was
years
actually
ago.
this is like, I feel this is me being like, oh, by the way, operations and admin, this is a reminder to us both. One thing I love about YouTube is also my future homework, because right now I think we're in like high production mode. We're like producing, you're filming, I'm editing and posting, like it's like high production. We are running 2 channels on YouTube, but future is actually going back and playing with titling and thumbnails, because one interesting thing about YouTube, if you redo your title and your thumbnail, they will test it again. So they'll repush that video. So to me, that alone is like, wow. So I could potentially leave the exact same video, but potentially because I've learned something over the past year of creating this content, maybe I changed my brand or whatever it is, I can go back and I can revive this video a little bit and make it more cohesive. Where I look at like short form content is it just disappears so quickly. The chances of this thing being relevant or, no one cares. No one's going to look for this
Yeah.
in 5 years. Maybe they will, but it's not going to be on this platform.
No, and I actually just was, you were saying that, I just opened up my Instagram because I'm curious. I was like, how many posts have I done since I've had this account? 2,400. So 2,454 videos or posts. I have Instagram, like basically 2,500 videos. That's outrageous. And how many of them are being seen? The last 3 maybe.
Yeah. I also, I know this is like totally random, but I also think about like the impact of short form content on our brains and our mental health and how we choose to like live our lives. And like personally for myself, I don't want to sound like I hate on Instagram because I do have friends there. I have fun making content for it. And I'm also aware that it's designed to make us addicted to it. And so that's why I choose to create content for Substack first, because it feels calmer over there. Like I have to read a whole essay. And I feel like that is not what most people want to be doing these days, is sitting down and reading an essay. I get to write, I get to be slower. So again, I think like picking your battles. If you don't want to do short form content, there are other platforms. And for us, it is YouTube right now and our podcast, because we get to have these long winded conversations, which I think is more us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a good point. Thank you, Ula, too. Of like, because I think then it's like what you're talking about is aligning one's values. And so we have to play the game. So I know. So here I was like, F you, Instagram. And I do feel that. And I'm not going to get off of it. And I do enjoy it. And I follow a lot of really awesome people that like social justice people that are keeping me informed and educated. And it's like I'm not getting off the Instagram. But in terms of like how hard do I want to work for that platform? F you. And so I think you're right. So like what are the values of here, we're like, move your body of heart and bones, let's say, like we want people to feel good and stress less and nervous system support. And yet it is still an algorithm that isn't great for the nervous system. So very good point of another layer of perspective around these other ones. Yeah, YouTube. How many times have you learned something off of YouTube? I think like, random is like I had a vacuum that I was trying to figure out how to clean, like pull the thing out and I wasn't sure in the instructions. And I went to YouTube and somebody had made a YouTube video of how to clean the exact vacuum that I had. Like, love YouTube and how like supportive and nourishing that is. I wouldn't have found that on Instagram. I wouldn't have thought to go to Instagram to be like, oh, who's created a video 5 years ago about this, like, vacuum.
I was also mentioning to you earlier today, I was watching a YouTube video. I watch this video every Monday. It's called Busy Blooming. And she kind of does a rundown of like, updates on social media, upcoming trends. I really appreciate that because it means I personally have to ingest less. Like I don't want to be on these platforms. So I do appreciate that. One thing she mentioned was, as AI continues to climb, more people are going into things like ChatGPT and Gemini to ask those how-to questions. How do I blankety blank? And for us, as people who are putting this like content out into the world, a really strong SEO hook is really like how to this, right? So now we're not only like trying to create content to like, connect with human beings. Now we're battling the AI slop out there. And what I did appreciate, what she said was, how are we future proofing? And one of the things we can do to future proof is actually showing our personality, being ourselves, being relatable, because, maybe the vacuum video won't survive, but getting to know you and liking the way you present content might be the thing that helps you kind of take off. So if anything, I think it's also like a lesson of, being yourself, I think will get you further, and trying to have this polished, curated, perfected, yada, 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 because you think that's what people need. In the long term, I think it's just like not fun and kind of exhausting. And maybe with AI here, won't even matter.
Oof, speak it. Yeah, exactly. Holy guacamole. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. And it's so, and I get it. It's so tempting to be like, okay, so success equals like being polished and all this. And it's like, no, again, what are your brand values? What is your business values? What are your values as a human being and a teacher, yoga teacher? It's like, well, connection, right? And so that's a very good point. And as an antithesis to AI, though that being said, we did recently get somebody, which blew my mind. Remember when I got an email from somebody saying that they had asked ChatGPT, they had like a physical issue, and asked ChatGPT if they could recommend some yoga. And then ChatGPT recommended Heart and Bones. And
Yeah.
not only
It's definitely
recommended, no, but hold on, because I was like, what?
go, go, go.
Like, what? And then because I followed up with her and I was like, what? I didn't know ChatGPT would do this. And then she's like, yeah. And not only did they recommend it, whatever you want to call it, they were like, Heart and Bones are really nice and friendly and kind. So it wasn't even like, yes, here are their like, like a sort of search of just like, yes, these are their features. This is how much it costs. No, ChatGPT was like being a marketer for us, like pumping our tires and being like, they're so nice. You'll feel so like literally, this is what it like, you'll feel so supported there. And so I wouldn't have known that this was a thing, and B, that it actually did that unless she hadn't just like reached out and asked that. And so now she's a member of the online studio. So yay. Which is, then I did subsequently found out like GEO, because there's SEO, search engine optimization, and then G, I don't remember what the G stands for, but it's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's definitely top of mind for our blogs.
Right. Yep.
Like the content that we put out there, because we do have some really high traffic blogs, and we are going to be onboarding someone for a little bit to support our blog writing, because we just have, speaking of content, so much going out. It's going to be really nice to get a little bit of help. And I was working on that this morning, and I was like, okay, so how do I set her up to also be future proofing some of these upcoming blogs to account for things like, now we have ChatGPT and Gemini combing our content, and how do we kind of future proof it so we are the ones that being suggested for it. So there are some things about it, and I'm still learning. Like, I think that's the other thing. It's like, guys, it's like every platform, everything it's technology. It'll change. Something new comes out every day.
And it's also still, I do want to name how it's still totally problematic how Chat GPT is literally like these tech companies, these data collection companies essentially are taking our not just like all of us who have ever produced any free content in any capacity in any way on the internet. They're mining it and using it, right? So there's ethical things, just naming it, because this is the funny world we're in. But also as small businesses and regular people, it's like, you got to work with what we have. And oh my God, okay. So I feel like that is taking us into even more fun new territory.
Yeah, I will say we do have a past episode. I think it's the brand one. So if this kind of, you're like, "Ooh, I want more of this," I'll link it in the show notes. I'll just note that down too. Because we do talk about brand, and I know we've talked about values, and that definitely comes up as well. So getting a little bit of clarity about values and brand and all those things, I think it's a big topic we could easily keep coming back to every couple of months, because I think it's like the business of yoga means you're also being realistic that we have to do some level of marketing, some level of like content marketing, getting clarity around your values and what you're willing to put out there and why. And goals, all real things.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully at the end of the day, I think, within these problematic systems of technology right now, what are ways that we can still stay true to those values, right? While using the tools that are not perfect and that you know, and not perfect for many of the things and reasons that we've already named. And so I think for us to, I think maybe wrap this up is like, for us, it's community. For us, it's connection and like helping. Like first and foremost, how do we reach more people in a connected and authentic and supportive and real way so that, you know, I love that our business is not selling shoes or something, sort of like, shoes are great, don't get me wrong, but I love that Heart and Bones is about like helping people feel better in their body and mind. Like that's no small thing. And I don't know. So I don't know. I hope this inspires you listening and gives you more food for thought and perspective. And I hope it's fascinating on some level. And to continue to inspire that community, though, it's not one sided. Like we are outpouring so much free content because we always have been and we always will. We love doing this. But like, let's not make this one-sided. Comment, subscribe, share. If you're finding value from real people like us, support that, right? Because it's also so easy to consume. And I'm saying, and I'm not saying that just for Heart and Bones, like other small, relative, whatever small is, big, whatever, you know, we are non-corporate, hardcore, like tech bro-y companies. We're a small team. We're just trying to make this world a better freaking place. So like, you know, like I feel really passionate about that because like, so go out there and support us and comment and share and like, subscribe, do all those things, not just because we're like, join our business, like, yes, but because you are doing and do that for other creators and people who are in this, not just us, but everybody else, because this is also how we build better worlds. We see the impact, and this episode came out just after that Jimmy Kimmel got reinstated, I guess, because of the big Disney boycott, which also irked me a little bit because I'm like, oh, look at, not just because values, but because money talked, right? Enough people canceled their subscriptions and they're like, oh, maybe we should make a change, not just because it was the right thing to do, but whatever, that's a whole other thing. But like that makes a difference. So instead of putting our dollars into these big businesses that don't care, they just care about the bottom line. Oh no, Jimmy Kimmel got pulled off the air, not because of many other reasons, but we want him back because we want your money. Fuck that shit, my friends. So go spend your money, that money that you saved if you cancel Disney Plus or whatever, like, and spend it on these smaller businesses. Does that, like, you're with me on that? That's what I try to do. We're one of those small businesses, like, right? And it's, anyways, okay. There's my rant and plea.
Rant done. Okay, so we started the episode with me saying I don't have a title for this episode because it's lovingly the best kind of look behind the scenes of what it is like running a international online yoga studio and what does it mean to, like, you know, create content and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have a title. I'm going to challenge you, Brie. If you had to title this podcast after what the heck we just talked about, what would it be?
Well, you're catching me fresh on the rant off the rant of like, F you, big power systems, and support the little guys. I don't know. Part of me would be like, fuck you. Yeah. So obviously those aren't, none of that I don't know. Let's put it into ChatGPT. No.
I'm thinking like, it's not you, it's the algorithm.
Boom, 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 boom. I love that because I've used that in the past on different posts. Thank you, Ula, where I'm like, it's not you, it's just not mainstream, or it's not you, it's the yoga industry. So like, yes, thank you. Boom, there. See, look at.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll title it that because, guys, I am going to check the SEO keywords.
Right, got to play the game.
Dun, dun, dun. Got to play the game. But
maybe it's a subtitle. You know, you get the sort of, and so anybody, again, who's still listening by the end of this, thank you for continuing to be here. But maybe like, you know, like there's a way, that's a great example of how you play the game, but still stay true to your values. Like, okay, what SEO friendly, clicky, I don't want to say clickbaity, but you know, like click worthy keywords can you use in a title? But then maybe you can use the less clicky words, but the ones you really want to use as like a subtitle, you know, so you can kind of find both ways into it or have it in the description, being like, kind of say what you want to say better.
Okay.
Yeah.
If people are like, SEO freaks me out and it sounds icky, I would say do it human centric. What would a human look for? Like, you're actually putting this out for real human beings. So just like ask yourself, how would they find you? And the human centric answer is probably the better version of it. Because yeah, you're making this for a real person, and we're making this for you too, who I assume is a real person, not AI. Okay, Brie. Speaking of all the things, here is where we are wanting you to join us. Yoga teacher tips on YouTube. If you want to dig into the teachery side of things, we are still running our regular Heart and Bones channel on YouTube as well. That one is more like shorter little touches of classes and conversations. It's still going strong and it's still going to keep going. We just gave a home to this kind of more niche teachery comments.
Focused, yeah. But yet it's so teachery. The regular Heart and Bones page is so teachery though. Still, it's hilarious. Like we've had people join our teacher training from that yoga teacher or that from that Heart and Bones page. And there's like literally, I think I saw that the other day where I'm like, what? I've done like 300 and something videos on this channel. Like the hell? So there is a lot of still goodness. So if you're unfamiliar with the Heart and Bone, you know what? This is what you do. You go subscribe to both. Why make your life hard? And because when you subscribe to both, you're going to get the notifications. You're never going to miss the videos. It's just smart. It's just like smart.
I'm also going to leave a link in the bio for our newsletter. So if you're more like, I like a slow read on a Thursday, or like whenever you open your emails, you can find us via newsletter. Bree sends out a weekly newsletter. That it's really personal. I always love reading it. We also have our 200 and 300 hour yoga teacher training launching in the fall. Depending on when you're listening to this, guys, it happens every year. You can start at any time, and then you join the cohort when it launches in the fall.
Like when we do. And when we say launch, it's like that's when we start our live calls. So our cohort, and that's where we say like the online content is available for you at any point that you'd want to join and you can get ahead. But then in November of every year is when we start to do our like community live calls, and we do those live calls twice a month going alongside the content. Even if you've already done a lot of the content because you joined earlier, we go through it until June. And then while you're doing all these things, because you're so excited to just sign up for all this stuff, thank you very much. Also go go join Ula's Substack. She won't, Ula will not prioritize promoting herself, so I'm going to do it. And it's worthwhile because Ula's very smart and creative and wonderful and has an amazing Substack. Also follow her book Instagram channel that you mentioned earlier. What was it again?
I'll link everything. Okay. I'll link my Vibrant Mind, which is my main account, and then my hobby account, which so if you're a book nerd like me, you can also nerd out with books.
And not even just a book nerd, like you're a photographer. So like it's a beautiful looking account. Like you just posted something the other day of like you were filming inside of a bookstore, and the quality and then the font that you used for the video, like I was like, damn, Ula, like this is so good. So it's just pretty too. You've got a nice professional looking account.
I'm that person, you know, there's people out there who are like, I hate making content and stressful, and I'm like, it's so fun. It's a fun hobby. So I'll link that out. Thank you, Brie. I suck at promoting myself when it comes to that kind of stuff, but thanks.
I got you, boo. I got you back. And thank you everybody for listening. Yay, bye.
Bye.